back to our Rise Prime Time. I'm Sumner Sambo. Well, to make sense of all you've heard so far, I'm now being joined in the studio by journalist, political commentator, and Rise News analyst, Dr. Constance Ikokwu. Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so what do you make of my very first guest? These APC members who supported President Tinubu and the APC to get into power are worried, just like every other Nigerian, on the state of the economy, and they are asking for immediate solutions because they feel that if they write to the president directly, he may not actually see their letter.
Well, I mean, your guest was quite feisty and passionate, and he stated or shared his views very well, and he has a point. You know, the conversations started from murmurings in homes and marketplaces and moved to protests, you know, all over the country, and then now open letters. I think there is no gainsaying that the scope and level of the current political and economic crisis that we face is staggering. And we've talked about it, we've mentioned it before, you know, you have a currency that is in shambles. You have skyrocketing cost of food and other necessities, which, by the way, is changing or increasing by the hour. And then you have the hyperinflation that you have to deal with and other things. On top of that, the government looks extremely weak. To be fair, the government is making policies and taking steps and throwing everything at the problem. But it is yet to inspire confidence in the people that it knows what it's doing. And that is why you see a letter such as this, because people are really desperate and saying we have to do something about it. So this is not a time for political scoring. It is a time for careful deliberations, deep reflections, and you know, consideration, deep consideration of the decisions that on policies that will move us from here to where we should be going.
Yeah, and one of the things that they are proffering solution to, based on their letter, is that President Tinubu should actually think on how to revamp the social investment sector. They say since the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Betta Edu, was suspended, we also had the social investment programs grounded, and that this was an avenue for poor people to actually receive some support from government, that President Tinubu should revive it and see how a minister can be appointed quickly. What do you make of that?
Well, we know that that ministry has been having a lot of problems because there are cases of abuse. You know, so if you have a ministry where you're voting millions and billions of naira, taxpayer naira, and it's not being utilized appropriately, definitely you have to suspend it and look at it again. Look at the framework, look at the structure. Is it working properly? If not, then you have to do something about it. Nothing has been done yet. Everything is suspended. He talks about sharing bags of rice. I do not think that sharing bags of rice is the problem. Okay, that's an ad hoc intervention, but you're looking at the bigger picture and the long term. You know, some have said yes, the seasonal, you know, conditional cash transfers and things like that can help. However, there should be a more solid long-term plan, which is what, you know, people that are economists and understand how things work are saying that's the direction and that's the way to go. So he is talking as a party man. His people down in this part of the country are suffering, not only there, you know, in other parts of the country as well. So the president and his team definitely, and I like that he mentioned the quality of the president's team. He talks about we have 48 ministers. How many of them are really working? But then the blame, you know, should be at the step of the president because he is the one that appointed these ministers and several other appointees that were made. If they are not performing, he is right that they should be fired or they should be changed, or, you know, do a performance review and see whether they are of any use to the cabinet. If not, you want to have people that have character, competence, capacity, have a vision, and you want everybody to be working, you know, to be up to the standard in terms of what you need to deliver the country.
All right, and one of the very key things he said is that it looks like those who worked for the government are not really being given an opportunity, and they find that when the president got to Aso Rock, some of these policies were not being taken in consultation so much with party leaders. But, I mean, what do you make about Tinubu's way of policy making, consultation, and all of that? The Minister of Information just issued a statement earlier today calling those who are responsible for these challenges, according to them, economic saboteurs. And he's saying that some of these bankers are known to government, people who are engaged in this currency speculation, and it looks like maybe the government is not doing much. Maybe some of these people are closer to the government, and so it's difficult to take some decisions.
Well, what we know about the president is that he is a party man to the core. And I think that if he didn't carry people along all these years as a politician, he will not be where he is today. That's the truth. There might be problems, where he cannot come in. Okay, so for instance, commercial banks. That's a policy issue. The central bank, it's a regulatory issue. So then the question is, who is the person that he has appointed as CBN governor? Is the person up to the task? Does the person even know what he needs to do? And then is he doing what is required of him? That's there. In terms of appointments, of course, when you look at the president's appointments, look at the ministers. A lot of them were based on loyalty to him, not only ministers, and then party patronage as well. And that is why people are saying he needs to shake his cabinet, because a lot of the people, more than half of them, looks like they will not be able to carry him to where he's going in terms of delivering his policies.
All right, interesting times ahead. And very quickly, before I let you go, the Edo politics. I mean, with some parallel primaries being held, different candidates being announced by political parties, and some people announcing themselves as the winners. What do you make of all of that?
Well, your second guest said something very poignant that we should discuss. He said, a time when Nigerians are looking for a cup of rice, we are talking about primaries that should be conducted quietly. And then he went on to say parties must obey their own laws and parties' rascality can be overbearing. I think he really made fantastic, extraordinary points there. Because you ask yourself a question, what is a political party? Political parties are groups of individuals that come together, they share the same beliefs, ideologies about governance and policy making. So you would assume that the thinking or the direction or the goal is about the common goods. So that means you're working for the good of everybody. Wow. Based on that, you mobilize supporters to support your party and to support whatever policies you want to put in place or push when you get into government. So if you are not doing that as a party, what are you doing? So do we really have real political parties in Nigeria? If we do not have, did we ever have at a time and then they fell off the way? Or did we not, even have one? So if we did not, or maybe they are somewhere where they're in crisis, then we will have to talk about reforms. Right. That is very crucial because political parties play a central role in a democracy.
All right, interesting times ahead. And of course, one of my guests during the week actually said some of these parties are special purpose vehicles. They just
very well said.
Yeah, just go knock off elections, and after that, everybody will be doing whatever they feel like.
That's why we need reforms.
And that's why I think my guest was talking about how it's important to actually reform our political systems. Most thank you so much, Dr. Constance Ikokwu. It's our own Arise analyst, and of course, she's been helping us to understand all that our guests have said tonight. Thank you so much for helping us to understand.
You're welcome, Sambo.
Well, that's how it's been for this edition of Arise Primetime. Do join us again tomorrow from me and the entire team here in Abuja. Goodbye and thank you for watching. I'm Somna Sambo.